Welcome to the Bold and Determined Podcast with your man Victor Pride. And right here on the Podcast for Winners, we're bringing you motivation and mindset for the killers and real dealers, the makers and the takers, the winners and the grinners, and goddamn, even the sinners too. Let's get started. Well, hi diddly ho, neighborinos. We're back with another edition of the Bold and Determined Podcast. And at the end of the last episode, we got a question from Warren. Warren asked, for guys who are not beginners in the gym, training at least a year, have okay muscle development and okay body fat, but want to take it to the next level, should they get leaner before getting bigger or bigger before getting leaner? Ooh, this is the million-dollar question when it comes to bodybuilding. Which do you focus on? Do you focus on cutting or do you focus on bulking? And how do you know which one you should do? Well, there's an entire industry built around this very question. It's called the supplement industry. And the supplement industry exists to sell you products that bulk you up or cut you down. But there is something that the supplement industry does not like to tell you, and that is that the people who get into shape, and what I mean by in shape, they have muscle and low body fat. They are big and lean at exactly the same time. How do they get that way? Do they get that way by bulking or by cutting? Here's what the supplement industry does not want you to know. They get that way at exactly the same time by recompositioning their body. Yes, that is right. The traditional method of bulking and cutting to achieve the physique that you want is not the way that it actually works in reality. In reality, you recomp. You change your body so that your metabolism is high. It burns the body fat and builds muscle at the same time. Can this actually be done? Absolutely it can. In fact, this is the only way that you actually achieve the results that you actually want, because I've got news for you, friends. Natural bodybuilding, I'm sorry to tell you this. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry to be the truth teller, but natural bodybuilding is a joke. You see, if you are a natural and you go to the gym and you eat a lot of food and you lift a lot of weights and you build a lot of muscle, if you diet as a natural, guess what's going to happen? You're going to lose fat, sure, but more importantly, you're going to lose muscle. So, as big as you can get as a natural, if you diet as a natural, all that size is going to go away. This is the plight of the natural bodybuilder. You can be big and bloofy, or you can be lean and skinny, but that's not what we want. You want to have good size and good level of leanness. So how do you accomplish this? The way that you accomplish this is that when you diet, you take a supplement or a product that will hold on to your muscle. Because if something does not hold on to your muscle, it will go away when you diet. When your body goes on a diet, this is what happens. Your body starts eating itself because it's not getting enough food. It starts eating your fat and your muscle. You have to manipulate your hormones to keep muscle on while you diet. You have to manipulate your hormones with bodybuilding supplements that actually work. This is the reality of bodybuilding. There is no such thing as natural bodybuilding, because every natural bodybuilder, when they diet, all that happens is they get skinny lean. They don't get big and muscular lean. They get skinny lean. If you want to be muscular and lean at the same time, and this is for people who already have okay muscle development, okay body fat, and they want to take it to the next level, this is what you do. You take a bodybuilding supplement like Red Growth. Red Growth will keep your muscle on you and allow you to build more muscle, while at the same time you eat in a caloric deficit or you eat at maintenance. You don't need to eat extra, just eat enough. And the introduction of a bodybuilding supplement like Red Growth will build muscle for you in ways that going to the gym and eating food never will do. And it will burn fat for you in the way that going to the gym and dieting never will do. Bodybuilding has three components. It has going to the gym and lifting weights. It has the diet, which is the food. The third component is either supplements that actually work and will probably be banned soon, or steroids. Without that third component, you will always be big and bloofy or lean and skinny. If you want to look like a real bodybuilder, it won't happen without supplements that actually work, or even pro-hormones or steroids. That is the big bodybuilding secret, my friends. The secret is that natural bodybuilding is a joke. You cannot be big and lean at the same time without a manipulation of your hormones via something like red growth or red beast or even testosterone or something like that. So this is the stone cold, hard to accept truth about bodybuilding. It relies on outside influences. Even if you have the best food in the world, even if you have the best training in the world, even if you have the best genetics in the world, when your body is hungry, it will eat its muscle and fat. Unless you manipulate your hormones with a product like Red Beast that will keep the muscle and just let the body burn the fat rather than the muscle. See, bodybuilding at its essence is a hormone manipulation. It's not a matter of hard work. It's not a matter of being disciplined with your diet. It's a matter of hormone manipulation. This is why people who've been training in the gym for a year don't look the way they want to look, or even 5 years, or 10 years. You're never going to be able to look like they look in the magazines. You're never going to be able to look the way you want to look unless you manipulate your hormones. And that is the essence of all bodybuilding supplements and steroids is hormonal manipulation. Increase the testosterone, decrease the estrogen, kill the cortisol, things like this. This is what gives you the look. The look is all hormonal. Again, so many people think that it's just a matter of working real hard at the gym and then you can overwork and develop the hormones of a god. The reality is hormones come from science. They don't come from hard work. Science gives us bodybuilding. Look at people from the past. They didn't look like the way we look today. The athletes of the past did not look the way we look today. It was not until about 1930 when a little product called testosterone was synthesized that bodies started to look different, and that took time. Even 30, 40 years it took for people to look the way they look today. Look at pictures of people from the past. They look average. They look normal. That's what the human body looks like. So when you're going to the gym, and you're working real hard, and you're sticking to your diet, and you're not looking in the mirror the way that you think you should look, even though you work hard, you have to understand that that's because you are normal and average. It is the people in the magazines who are abnormal and not average. Those are bodies by science. And if you want that body, you've got to use science to get there, chemistry to get there. Otherwise, you're just going to look normal. And there's nothing wrong with looking normal if that's the way you want to look. But for the man who wants to build muscle, extra steps have to be taken. That is why we have redsupplements.com, because most supplements on the market are poo-poo. They don't work. They don't manipulate your hormones in the right way. We created Red Supplements because there was a void in the market. We knew of some products that can actually help. We knew of some products that can put muscle on you and help you lose fat at the same time. Products like Red Growth to build muscle, Red Burner to burn body fat, Red Beast to keep your testosterone levels high, Red PCT 2.0 to keep your estrogen levels low. So you see, friends, I do hate to be the bearer of bad news. I do hate to let you know that if you want to stay natural, that's fine. But you are going to look natural if you do. Donovan asks, Hey Vic, I'm a faithful listener of the podcast, having heard all of the episodes, some multiple times. I've lifted weights off and on throughout my life. I'm 50 years old and I'm getting back into it. My goal is to have biceps and triceps that look like yours in your photos. I've never been able to get this look, but I've never had a trainer. I'm 5'10" and 195 pounds. What exercises can you recommend using dumbbells and a curl bar to get the kind of pump that your arms have? I love a specific routine. I'll follow it. If you can give me an idea of when I will start to see results, a ballpark guess, I'd love to know so I can see if it's working. Okay, friend, as I just explained a moment ago, the reason I look the way I look, and the reason that people with muscular arms look the way they look, and the reason that your arms do not look the way you want them to look, even though you have been lifting weights off and on for years, and at 50 years old you have still not developed the body you want, is not a matter of exercise. You say you never had a trainer. Guess what? Neither have I. Neither have a lot of people. A trainer can do nothing for you if your hormone balance is not the way it needs to be. So the way to get arms, the kind of arms that you want, the way to get a pump, the kind of pump that you want, has absolutely nothing to do with diet and exercise. It has everything to do with hormone manipulation. It has everything to do with bodybuilding supplements that actually work. So if you want arms, real arms, for the first time in your life, you need to use red growth. And on top of that, you need to work your arms twice a week. When you're on red growth, you're going to have pumps, the likes of which you have never had before in your life. And I'm going to give you my exact routine to build my arms up. Now, I would never do this routine anymore. I would not do this routine again if I were not on bodybuilding supplements. Because for the natural, it's a waste of time. The natural can do a few curls for the girls, a few press downs, and get out of the gym. But for somebody who has the right hormone balance, by taking something like red growth, this is the key, is to pump up the arms. And the way that you do that is this. You superset the biceps and the triceps. So you start with barbell curls and go directly to rope pushdowns. And you do 4 sets of 12 reps with no rest in between. You go from your barbell curls to your pushdowns, back to your barbell curls, back to your pushdowns. 12 reps per exercise, superset with no rest in between. You're going to do a total of 4 exercises for biceps, 4 exercises for triceps, for a total of 16 sets of biceps, 16 sets of triceps. That's 32 sets in total for your arms. This is going to give you a pump like you cannot believe, as long as you're taking the right supplement with it. You want to do this twice a week for the next month. So if you're on a 30-day cycle of red growth, your arm routine is 32 sets twice a week. You can choose the exercises you want. The exercises you choose don't make that much of a difference. The point is to get as much blood into the biceps and triceps as you possibly can, and to hold it there for about 45 minutes per workout. This is the secret of building arms. Pump them up with blood while you're on the right supplements, and they will grow. That's how you get the pumped look. That's how you get the jacked look. That's how you get the look of the swole guns. Bruce asks, "Hey Vic, have you ever thought about creating an inner circle for your most dedicated followers, where we pay a membership price to all discuss and mastermind our plans? Sort of like an entrepreneur organization." Ooh, this is a great question. And yeah, this is something I think about a lot. I think about the way that I can make this happen for you, because I know there are so many of you who are looking for something extra in this world. You're looking for a place where you can network and mastermind with like minds. And it can be hard to do this in comments of a blog. You want somewhere private where you can have conversations, where you can plot and plan. And I understand that, and I want the same thing myself. So I think about this a lot. And, gee golly gosh, what other solutions? There could be a private forum. And that's really what I've come up with, is a private forum. If you've got an idea for something like this, why don't you leave a comment and let me know, because this is interactive. It's not just something for me. It's for everybody who wants more. Everybody who wants to network with like minds instead of being lost in the world of the average person, where you can get together and build plans and even create companies and create businesses, I hope. So I would love to see this. I would love to make it happen for you. Let me know if you're interested. If there are enough of you who are interested in a paid membership site where you can be free from the prying eyes of the general public, you can be free to say what's really on your mind and what you really want to do, where you can speak with other people who are not limited by the mind of the average man, where you can be free to talk with people about bigger plans, let me know, because I'd love to set this up for you. Anthony asks, "When is Monk Mode coming out? I need it. I just jerked off after an 11-day streak, the longest I've done since July." Okay, Monk Mode is coming out in mid-January, and there is a specific chapter in Monk Mode that deals with this exact thing, which is quitting the nasty habit of internet pornography. An 11-day streak is very good. Most people don't make it past 7 days, because for the first 7 days, your cravings increase and increase and increase every day for 7 days. So making it 11 days is very good. But when you get on the Monk Mode program, and if you follow it, you're going to be able to go 30 days. And I guarantee you 30 days is absolutely life-changing. 11 days is good. 30 days, life-changing. Timothy R. Norman says, "Dear Victor, I recently did a cycle of red growth and I would like to share my results. Due to a detached retina, I was not able to lift heavy during the 30 days of red growth, but was only able to do cardio and work my arms. I worked my arms almost every day for 60 days. And in combination with red growth, my arms are definitely bigger, stronger, and more solid than when I started. During this time, I was also trying to lose weight, so I think I could have had more gains, but I'm happy with the results. I also experienced something during this time I did not expect, and I can only attribute to red growth. Around the second week taking red growth, I experienced a sort of calmness that I have not had in many years. I'm a very hot, fly-off-the-handle type person, but when this stuff kicked in, it seemed that nothing would bother me, and it was almost an out-of-body experience. Normally when I get busy at work, I start cursing and throwing things, but that didn't happen. I just took it in stride, and calmly did my work, and plowed through. I'm not sure if that's normal, or if anyone else had a similar experience, but that's how it affected me. Ooh-wee. Thanks for the review, Timothy. If you've done a cycle of red growth and you want to share your results, do let me know, so I can spread the good word. Marcus the Wolf says, Victor, I seldom visit blogs these days, but the podcast is A+++, and the red light therapy question caught my ear. I figured I'd share some insight about efflux and the whole red light therapy thing. I had serious eye problems and issues with sleep for many years in my time in the Navy. The problem was the constant exposure to blue cell phone light and red fluorescent lights. We evolved to wake up and sleep according to the rise and the setting of the sun. Artificial light completely disrupts the circadian rhythm. The blue light from your phone strains your eyes and tells your body it's daytime, and the reddish-orange fluorescent lights sap your energy and put great strain on your eyes. When I fixed these two health problems 6 years ago by installing F-Flux or a red light filter on my phone and computers and replacing all my light bulbs with ones that emit white light from a company called Verilux, the results? I improved my vision from needing glasses to better than average vision, and my sleep vastly improved. Ooh, thanks for sharing, my friendly friend, about the red light therapy. It seems very obvious to me that the blue light emissions from our phones and from our computers are having disastrous effects on our health, our well-being, and especially on our sleep. How many people at night, when they should be going to bed because it's dark out there, staring directly at their phone or looking directly at their computer? Too many, I know. So what you can do, you can install a red light filter on your phone. A lot of phones these days have night mode, and you can install F-Lux on your computer. These things make a world of difference for your sleep and for your eyeballs. Kasari asks, Hey Victor, your podcasts are spot on. Your content has made me a better man. 2 questions. Number 1, what's your take on religion? I am from a Christian upbringing, but taking a look around, as you once said, I noticed it might be a tool for controlling the masses, as most people following it end up living mediocre lives and never take full responsibility for their actions, blaming Satan for bad shit that happens to them. Might have the original doctrines and dogma that guided the foundations of various religions been twisted to act as a tool for controlling the masses? Ooh, that's a mouthful of a question. Let's start with the ending question first. Have the original doctrines that guided the foundations have been twisted as a tool for controlling the masses? I hate to break this to you, but the answer is yes. I'm not saying Christianity is bad. Our great United States was formed specifically by Christians, by European Christians. They created the greatest country in the world that had a shared culture and a shared religion. So I'm not anti-Christian, but I do have to look around me and see what's going on with the Christians I come across today. They're being lied to, is what I see. They're being told to accept things that they should not accept. They're being told to turn the other cheek when somebody spits on one cheek. Today you will see a very clear anti-Christian agenda in your mass media. Everybody makes fun of Christians. Nobody makes fun of Muslims. Why do you think that is? Because today's Christian is a domesticated farm animal who will not fight back. That's why. If you say something about Allah, they'll come and they'll cut your head off. If they say something about Jesus, they'll pray for you. So you see what has happened to the modern Christian. In fact, I've got a great quote from Mr. Friedrich Nietzsche about the modern Christian. Let me read it for you. He says, What is good? All that heightens the feeling of power, the will to power, power itself in man. What is bad? All that proceeds from weakness. What is happiness? The feeling that power increases, that a resistance is overcome, not contentment, but more power, not peace at all, but war, not virtue, but proficiency. The weak and ill-constituted shall perish. First principle of our philanthropy. And one shall help them to do so. What is more powerful than any vice? Active sympathy for the ill-constituted and weak. Christianity. The problem I raise here is not what ought to succeed mankind in the sequence of species, but what type of human being ought to breed, ought to will as more valuable, more worthy of life, more certain of the future. This more valuable type has existed often enough already, but as a lucky accident, as an exception, never as willed. He has rather been the most feared. He has hitherto been virtually the thing to be feared, and out of fear, the reverse type has been willed, bred, achieved, the domestic animal, the herd animal, the sick animal man, the Christian. So you see, friends, the Christian is born of a fear. Nobody fears the Christian. They look down on them. They pity them. They spit on them. As Nietzsche said, today's Christian is a domesticated animal, a herd animal, a sick animal man who does everything he's told. And good golly gosh, would he ever fight back? No, he would not. So is Christianity a tool for controlling the masses? Well, why don't you decide? His second question. I think most people identify with their religion mostly because they found themselves in regions that follow certain religion. They end up thinking that their religion is supreme to that of others and end up looking down upon others that subscribe to different beliefs. Do you believe in an afterlife and an existence of a supreme being? And if so, how is the ideal way to live? Okay, there are many questions there. Let me answer that first one. You said most people identify with their religion because they found themselves in regions that follow certain religion. Of course. Religion is all based on region and culture. If you grow up in Thailand, you're going to be Buddhist. If you grow up in Vietnam, you're going to be Buddhist. But actually, let's take a little detour. Buddhism is a front for magic. They all practice and believe in magic, and that's their true religion. And in fact, I think that's probably the true religion of all peoples, is natural magic. And we may get more into that in the future. But religion is based on the region. So if you grow up in America, you're going to grow up in a Christian country. Well, if you grew up in America in the past, you grew up in a Christian country. If you grew up in America in the future, probably going to grow up in a Muslim country. But religion, of course, is based on the region. Regarding the afterlife, I want to answer that a little bit later. Tobias asks, Hey Victor, I live in the city of Sydney, Australia. Hey Victor, I live in the city of Sydney, Australia, and I perceive the general population to be spiritually sick. Radical leftist political ideas seem more common in the city, along with less genuine and happy people compared to rural Australians. Do you agree that city people tend to be more degenerate? If so, why do you think degeneracy is more common in Western cities as opposed to Western rural areas? Yeah, I agree with you 100% that the degenerates live in the city and the normal happy people live in the countryside, because in the countryside, you've got what people in the city don't have. You've got nature. You've got a connection with nature. You're out in nature. And in the city, you've got huge communities. The bigger the community is, the more people become socially isolated, the less they actually communicate and speak to others. So if you see 10,000 people in a day, you probably talk to 0 of them. But if you see 10 people in a day, it's a guarantee you talk to all 10 of them. So cities are simply not natural for the human. We come from societies where we live with maybe 20, 30, 40, even 100 people, and we know everybody by name. When we're stuck in a city where all the trees have been chopped down, it's cars everywhere, highways everywhere, tall buildings everywhere. We lose all connection with nature. We lose all connection with the spiritual. This is why the populations of these cities are spiritually sick. You cannot be spiritually well by living in a city. And because you're not spiritually well living in a city, you degenerate into degeneracy. You degenerate into internet porn, internet video games, bad food, because there's nothing else for you to do. There's an emptiness that you have when you live in a city. They cannot be fulfilled until you go out of the city. So I periodically go out of the city, go into the mountains, go into the forest, go into the woods, and get away from it all and commune with nature, man. Jet asks, how do you promote a natural lifestyle while at the same time lifting weights? Lifting weights is not natural. Nowhere in nature do you find perfectly balanced weights like barbells. Wouldn't it be much more natural to use body weight in calisthenics, running, and occasionally moving heavy objects outside? Okay, of course it's not natural to lift weights, but we don't live in natural worlds. Because we don't live in a natural world, we don't have access to the number one thing that develops our bodies, and that number one thing is hunting. Because we're not out hunting with a spear, we're not out all day chasing around an animal, fighting it down and killing it, we've got to replace it with something. And the best something that we have access to is lifting weights. We've got to build our strength. In the city, we don't do hard work. We don't do heavy work. And our body can degenerate because of that. So you've got to build some muscle. You've got to build some strength on your body, or it will simply rot off. It will degenerate. Now, regarding body weight and calisthenics being more natural, I guarantee you there is nobody who lives a natural life who does push-ups and body weight squats. So calisthenics is just as unnatural as lifting weights is. When you live a natural life, you work for a living. You work to build your house. You work to get your food. You work to get your water. And when you're not doing that stuff, you rest your body. You relax your body. Let the energy build back up. It would be a ridiculous waste of your energy to live a natural life and to do body weight exercises. So both body weight and lifting weight is not natural. But we don't live in a natural world, so we must do something to build our bodies up, to replace the activities like hauling water out of a well or chasing down our food and killing it. HC asks, are there any weightlifting exercises which you found dangerous and stopped doing? Yeah, I don't do any kind of Olympic lifting at all. I don't do clean and press, snatch, jerk. I don't do any of those because those take a very specific skill set to do. And the benefit to your body of doing those exercises is basically nothing. I see so many athletes training the clean and jerk and the clean and press, and it boggles my mind because these are very detailed exercises for a specific sport. They're not mass builders and they're not strength builders. So it always boggles my mind when I see athletes training this way because it actually doesn't do anything for you. Unless you are a weightlifter and you are trying to put up a certain number to break a record. So I never do Olympic lifts ever. These days I don't do behind the neck push press. Other than that, I still do pretty much everything. Marcos asks, I would like to know your opinion on Articles 11 and 13, which have recently been adopted throughout Europe. These articles reach all digital platforms such as Twitter, Instagram, even Google and YouTube. With Article 13 in force, any copyright-protected trademarks posted on any platforms could generate processes for those respective platforms from their owners. We can see the impact well. The CEO of YouTube in Europe mentioned before this article was approved that if it was approved, thousands of videos would be excluded and that YouTube policy would totally change. Okay, the gist of these articles I understand is that you would not be able to link to your favorite article anymore because they would consider it copyright infringement. This is my understanding. I have not done a lot of research on this. So if you have knowledge about Articles 11 and 13, let me know because this affects all of us. And friends, I guarantee one thing that they, and I'm using they in quotes, one thing they want is full control of the internet. We've had a nice, nearly free, pretty much free internet for a long time now. And if we want to keep it that way, we can't allow things like this to happen. So if you know more about this, do let us know. World Citizen asks, hi Vic, you once talked about Nordic ice people. Can you also briefly highlight the different characteristics of the following: American, European, Chinese, Indian, Malay? The American is more isolated than any other region I have ever seen. The American can be alone and in fact seems to enjoy isolation, even from the American's own family. So the American is more isolated than any other country. One other thing about Americans, nearly everywhere I've been in the world, people like to wear new clothes all the time, new shoes. They like to clean their shoes, clean their coat, clean their jeans, always make sure their hair is perfect, always make sure everything is perfect. Americans don't give a damn. Americans will wear the same pair of shoes for 2 years in a row and never clean them. Americans don't give a damn if their jeans are clean or not. Americans don't give a damn about their hair. So this is one difference I notice. The Americans seem to be much more confident in not presenting the best appearance. I believe it's because the American comes from what is perceived as the greatest country on earth and is very secure in that and doesn't have to always wear new shoes, doesn't always have to wear new clothes, doesn't always have to mess with their hair. Because they have this security from growing up American, they don't really give a damn. Now, that doesn't include all Americans, but it does include a great many of the ones I come across traveling across the world. You will never see a Vietnamese, you'll never see a Russian, you'll never see any kind of person who's not American wearing dirty shoes. The Chinese are oblivious. Chinese are oblivious to other people who are not Chinese. A Chinese will not even notice another person who is not a Chinese. It's like their eyes don't see you if you're not Chinese. Now, if you're in China and you're white, they will notice you. But if you take them out of China and put them in another country, I used to run across Chinese tourists all the time in Southeast Asia. They don't see you. And the Chinese tourists, they're like locusts. They're like rodents or animals. Anywhere the Chinese go, it becomes worse there because they make a huge mess. They don't have any kind of common decency or courtesy. They'll eat all the food and run away and not leave a tip. This doesn't mean all people of Chinese descent. I'm talking about mainland Chinese, not talking about Hong Kong or Singapore. Because curiously, all of the rich people in Asia are of Chinese descent. All the rich in Thailand are Chinese Thai. All the rich in Vietnam are Chinese Vietnam. All the rich in Hong Kong, Singapore, Indonesia, they're all of Chinese descent. So curiously, they are the ones that get rich, and they are also the ones who just act like the worst pests. They also have very damaged hair, which I believe is from the very huge amount of pollution in their country. You can look at a Chinese lady and you can know she's Chinese by looking at her hair, because it's going to be thin like doll hair. Seems to be falling out. So these people seem to be almost radioactive because of all the pollution in their country. Regarding Malays, I don't have anything to say about the Malay people. I've been to Malaysia, but I don't have much to say about them. Regarding the European and the Indians, I don't have anything to say about them either. Justin asks, thanks for the show, Vic. What do you think about eating nuts and seeds? Nuts and seeds are very hard to digest, so there's really no point in eating them. Seeds don't want to be eaten. They want to be planted and grow into something else. So they have something called anti-nutrients in them that don't allow them to be digested, because, again, seeds are there to plant new plants, plant new trees, plant new bushes, whatever the seed comes from. It's there so that more may be planted. So eating them is rather pointless because they cannot be digested. Nuts also are very hard to digest, and there are very few nuts in nature that you would be able to eat. The cashew nut, for example, you cannot eat in its raw state because it will poison you. A very specific procedure has to be done to make the cashew edible, so I don't eat them. Jake asks, the importance of the carnivore diet cannot be understated. Food is culture, and if people like you and Roosh can open people's eyes, as you have mine, then we can win the culture war in America. If you change the way people eat, you can change the way they think. The carnivore diet points out all of the lies within our society. If a man goes on the carnivore diet, he will ask himself these questions. I've never felt better. This is amazing. Why hasn't modern medicine found out about this and told us? Universities have vast resources, yet they did not find this truth and teach it. This will reveal many truths to a person about the world. Eating only meat spits in the face of so many people and organizations that push lies and hate. It's bad for big pharma. It's bad for vegans. It's bad for 90% of the grocery store business. It's bad for feminists. It's bad for the Silicon Valley thought police. My question is, I know you understand the importance of diet for health, but can you see the bigger picture as well? This is like a tipping point and a tool. Yes, friends, I do see the larger importance of understanding diet. However, I don't believe that the masses will ever wake up from their delusion. I don't believe they will ever understand. I don't believe they will ever take the time to understand the great importance of eating a natural diet. And that's because they can't understand it. Their minds have been so warped by the bad food, the poisonous food they've been eating, that it would take a miracle to come down and talk some sense into them. So only a very few people are ever going to listen to it. One person can make a very big difference, but one mass media station could make a much bigger difference. And until this stuff becomes mass knowledge, which it will not, because it's bad for all the industries. You ask, why did the universities not find this? They found it long ago. They knew about it long ago. You ask, why hasn't modern medicine found out about this? They knew about it long ago. But it's bad for business if you are healthy. It's bad for business if you are strong. It's bad for business if you are not riddled in brain fog and bodily pain every day. So they don't tell you. Even I tell you. And I tell you what, friends, even I have received messages from listeners of this very show saying, I still think vegan is the best diet. Can you believe that, friends? So even when people are presented with the evidence, they still don't want to listen. There are still mentally ill people that you cannot get through to, no matter what you do. So I bring the message to you saying that if you want to be strong and clear, calm, eat the right diet. But so many people don't want to listen. And you know why? It's because the massive media brainwashing is so very potent. It's so very strong. If you can get your message on television, radio, magazines, schools, you will control the population. And even when the population is presented with the truth, they won't hear it. Because they don't want to hear it. It's very hard to accept that you've been lied to. It's very, very difficult because as a people, all of us, we are basically inherently honest. And it's so hard to understand that the people who are supposed to be there to protect us are lying to us. It's so hard to accept that most people choose to live in denial about it. They choose to live in a virtual reality where the government's here to protect you. The school system is here to teach you reality. Doctors are here to keep you healthy. Vegetables from Monsanto are good for you. Cows farting cause international climate change. And if you think about it, friends, if you just look at what they say is not believable. They tell you about climate change. They say, if we don't stop polluting the world, everything's going to be bad. And what do they tell you causes climate change? Animals. They want you to believe that animals living in the world cause international climate change, and you've got to stop eating them so that the climate can get better. That's a ridiculous, obvious lie. But literally everybody I talk to here believes it. That's the power that they have. That's the power of the mass media. Narantha asks, hello Victor, in the carnivore diet, what is the best part of the meat that we should order from the butcher? Do you recommend any fruits to avoid constipation? Should we wait for the women to do the hunting of food, which is similar that the lions do? Okay, the best piece of meat from the butcher is the meat that has fat on it. So it doesn't really matter because the cuts of meat are going to be a little bit different by country. You want to make sure that you get a fatty cut of meat. You want to get a good amount of fat to go with the lean. You don't want to order just the lean protein because it's not going to be enough for you. It's not going to be satiating. It's not going to fulfill you. You must have a very good amount of fat. So ask the butcher whatever the fattiest cut is, and even ask the butcher to give you extra fat that he cuts off from the other cuts of meat. Do I recommend any fruits to avoid constipation? No, I don't. It is those very foods that are full of fiber that cause constipation in the first place. That's right. Fiber causes constipation. When you get rid of fiber, you don't have constipation. Should we wait for the women to do the hunting, which is similar to the way lions do? No, because we are not lions, we are people, and the man is the hunter. The woman is a gatherer and a cook. Dan asks, hi Victor, when I start the carnivore diet, I get really hungry, even after eating 2 steaks per meal, and I'm craving carbs. I also get massive headaches from being hungry. Do you have any suggestions for this? Yes, I do. What you're going through is called carbohydrate withdrawal, also known as keto flu. When the carbohydrates leave your system, and it's like going through a drug withdrawal. When a heroin user goes through withdrawal, it is not an easy and simple process. The same thing is true of carbohydrates. All carbohydrates are sugar. You're going through sugar withdrawal. Sugar is a drug. So you have to understand that you are going to have to go through this period. Now, to mitigate this, you can either lower your carbohydrates little by little until you completely cut them off, or you can just go cold turkey and really suffer. But you will have to get through this, and it could take up to 6 weeks to become fully fat adapted and get rid of the cravings. Now, you say you are hungry still. The reason you are hungry still is you are not eating enough fat. Fat is what satiates you. Now, you will still have cravings for carbs in this first few weeks. Cravings are different than hunger. Cravings are entirely mental. It's not a physical hunger. You don't physically need carbohydrates. You don't physically need to eat sugar. But mentally, you still crave it. All drugs act in the same way. They say, give me some sugar. Give me some sugar. Give me some sugar. I need it. Give me some sugar. So what you can do is be stronger, eat more fat, and wait it out. His second question, is there a difference in organic and grass-fed beef rather than regular, or is it bullshit? There is a difference because if a animal is fed grain, it's going to have a different balance of the omega-3, omega-6 fatty acid ratio. A grass-fed animal is in perfect health. It has a perfect ratio. So the grass-fed animal, the grass-fed beef, is the holy standard of beef. That's what we want to always try and eat because that's the most natural. The regular beef that is finished in a feedlot is fed grains that make it sick and then given antibiotics so that it doesn't die before its time. So the difference is, it's the difference between eating a healthy animal and a sick animal. So as much as you can, eat the grass-fed beef. If you're poor, if you don't have enough money to buy grass-fed, go ahead and eat the supermarket beef. But always have it in your mind that you need to make more money so that you can have good meat, because good meat is going to equal good health for you. His third question, do you recommend eating kimchi for digestion? Digestion is absolutely perfect when you eat an all-meat diet. There is no reason or no need for anything else. Can you eat it if you like? Sure, but it is not needed for digestion. Aaron asks, question from someone currently working a self-made service business. After selling both physical products through Red Supplements and digital products with your ebooks, would you recommend someone sell physical products or digital products? When would you opt for one method over the other? Okay, digital products are infinitely better than physical products. Specifically, the blog business, selling ebooks is the greatest business I've ever been a part of. Selling physical products can often be and is a nightmare. When you sell digital products, you create the work one time, then it is automated. Whenever anybody wants to buy your digital product, they go and they buy it, and then they are delivered the product automatically. You have to do absolutely nothing other than set up the product to be sold in the first place. So you do work basically one time and you get paid forever, and you get to keep most of the profit. If you sell an ebook for $10, you can keep about $9. However, if you sell a real product in the real world, Let's say you sell a product for $10. It might cost you $5 to buy that product. Then it might cost you $1 in manpower and $1 in shipping. For every $10 product you sell, you might keep $3 or even less. And there's a lot more hassle, a lot more headache in keeping your stuff in a warehouse and selling it and shipping it and keeping your staff happy and in finding the proper manpower. So there's so much more work involved in selling physical products than there is in selling digital products. So this is why I highly recommend, if you want to get out of the rat race and make some real money, I recommend the blogging path that I took, because there is nothing greater in this world than selling digital products and making money in your sleep while you do nothing. Scott asks, Vic, I've been reading B&D since 2014. I started my website with badnet.com 3 years ago. I spent every penny I made off my site buying rental properties and starting other businesses. I put maximum effort into my website blog for the past year, and I witnessed amazing things happen. I gained a significant following. Traffic went through the roof, and business opportunities presented themselves. So thank you for your guidance over the years. You played a major role in this. Friends, when you listen to the wise wisdom of the B&D, this is what happens to you. When you take the advice to start your blog today instead of waiting, when you take the advice to go to badnet.com and let us start your blog for you for free, and you get the 4 free reports that show you how to make money from your blog, guess what happens? You start buying rental properties. You start buying other businesses. Other opportunities present themselves to you. So go to badnet.com right now to start your blog for free. Of course, you have to pay internet hosting. That's very cheap, about $4, $5, $6 a month. Jack Freeman says, true freedom all starts with escaping the 9-to-5 rat race prison. Today was my best day I ever had with my blogging business. I made about $400 with 5 affiliate sales. I'm super pumped as I started blogging only about 5 months ago. I truly want to thank you, Vic, for all that you do and for inspiring others. I was already making money doing drop shipping. However, didn't really know too much about blogging, but boy, is blogging the best business ever. And without your blog and inspiration, I probably would have never made the leap to start my own blog. So thanks again and keep on inspiring people. Ooh, friends, I've said it 1,000,000 times and I'll say it 1,000,000 more. The blog business is the best business in the world, and you won't understand it until you are in the position of Jack Freeman, who made $400 a day in one day with 5 affiliate sales. Can you imagine what it would be like to make $400 just from writing a few words? That is the magic of the blog business. That is why I started badnet.com for you, because there is no more excuse to not start your blog. We'll do it for you. Of course, you have to do the work. You have to write the articles. You have to put your time, effort, and your soul into your blog business to make it work. But when you do, guess what happens? $400 in a day. Imagine if you made $400 every day. Karen asks, hello, Victor. I'm a female and have been reading your blog since 2013. After 5 years, this is my very first comment. Thank you very much for what you do and the insight you provide. After listening to your podcast, I decided to cut down my carbs significantly and have lost almost 10 pounds in the past 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on women following a carnivore diet? My thoughts on women following the carnivore diet are exactly my thoughts on men following the carnivore diet. There is a natural human diet which everybody will benefit from if they follow it. Now, regarding women specifically, women have such a hard time keeping thin in this world, and yes, they are expected to starve to stay thin, because eating a high carb, low fat, moderate, or even high protein diet is a starvation diet. So when women say they have to starve to be thin, they are telling you the truth, because unless you're eating saturated fat, you are starving. So if women want to stay slim, stay nice looking, stay pretty, have a good body, and they don't want to starve, they want to be fulfilled and be able to eat as much food as they want, then they must and should follow the carnivore diet. They must eat the high fat, moderate protein, low or no carbohydrate. That is the way you stay slim without having to exercise for hours every day. That is the way you get to stay slim without having to starve yourself every day. This is the way you get to eat all the food that satisfies you and not feel guilty about it. And actually, not only do you not have to feel guilty about it, you get to experience great benefits from it. This is the one diet where you actually get to eat all of the food you want to eat. Now, there are a lot of diets who will lie to you and say, you can eat as much as you want, as long as you eat broccoli and Brussels sprouts. That's a starvation diet. On this diet, the carnivore diet, guess what you can eat? Bacon, butter, eggs, steak, pork ribs. You get to eat as much real food as you want, and you never gain fat. You lose fat. You feel better. You stop being bloated all the time. You stop farting. You stop having to go to the bathroom all the time. You feel better in every way. And really, it doesn't matter if you're male or female. There's a natural diet, and when you follow it, you get great results. She goes on to say, also, I started my blog through BadNet several months ago. I've been inconsistent in writing. Would writing about my goals, for example, losing weight, be a good start? Why or why not? That would absolutely be a great start, because there are so many other women in the world in your exact position. So many women who want to lose weight, but they can't because they're so hungry from eating the wrong diet. So you could be there to show them the way. You could be there to show them, look what I did. And look what you can do as well. And you can show them in real time while you do it. You could be there as a light in the darkness to show them they don't have to starve to lose weight. And in fact, eating that kind of high carbohydrate diet, low fat, eating the vegetables, the oatmeal, the fruit, is the diet that makes you fat in the first place. The exact diet they say will help you to stay lean is the diet that makes you fat in the first place. Women of the world need this knowledge. It is up to people like you to give them this knowledge through your blog. Roy asks, I'd like to start a blog or a podcast that I believe will add practical value to my audience's lives. It will consist of lots of phenomenal material designed to optimize one's creative flow. Did you ever deal with any feelings of hypocrisy after publishing articles? Not because the wisdom isn't sound, but because it takes real discipline to uphold and sometimes we slip up. No, I've never felt hypocrisy. I don't feel hypocrisy for anything. Hypocrisy is a slave emotion. And I get comments all the time that say, Victor, you're a hypocrite for you said one thing and then 4 years later you said a different thing. And I ignore those comments. Hypocrisy is a slave emotion, and that's that. Body Mind Rev asks, what are the biggest roadblocks to earning a profit from a blog and how can we avoid them? All right, great question. There are two great big roadblocks to earning a profit from a blog. The first great big roadblock is impatience. You're not going to start a blog today and make money tomorrow. But so many people who start their blogs think they're going to make money today or tomorrow or even next month. They'll email me and they'll say, I started my blog 2 months ago and I'm not making any money or getting any good traffic. What's the deal? The deal is you are impatient. The deal is it takes time to build a great business. And if you're not willing to put in the time, you're not going to build a great business. Patience is the key. Patience is a virtue. If you are not going to put in the time, nothing will ever happen for you. Ironically, these people want results quickly, and in order to get results, they do everything the wrong way. So they want results next month or 2 months from now, but the way they do things, they will never get results. There is only one way to do things, and that one way is the right way. And with the right way, it takes a while to build your business. So you could either take the time to build your business the right way, or you can take shortcuts and never ever get results. And that's what most people do. They want a shortcut. And when they don't get it, they quit. Here's the real definition of failure. Quitting. It is only when you quit that you fail. If you stick with it long enough, it will pay off for you. But so many people are impatient and they want it now. And they quit. And good riddance to them. The second biggest roadblock to earning a profit from a blog is becoming addicted to social media. So many would-be blog artists start their blog, and the first thing they do when they start their blog is they start their social media account, thinking that it's going to help them build an audience, or thinking that it's going to help them promote their content. But in reality, what happens is that they become addicted to the social media. They become addicted to the immediate dopamine hits they get from sending out tweets and getting likes. They become so addicted that they forget about their core business in the first place, which is the blog. So many would-be blog artists have killed their career by becoming addicted to social media. There is no great blog artist who is addicted to social media. With a blog, it is about delayed gratification. With social media, it is about immediate gratification. Immediate gratification always wins out against delayed gratification. The social media tricks you into thinking you've done something because you get those dopamine hits from likes and retweets, because you get constant new material and constant new thoughts and reactions from your followers, that it tricks you into thinking you've done something when in fact you've done absolutely nothing. So those are the two biggest roadblocks to earning a profit from a blog: being impatient and being on social media. And in fact, they are one and the same. You think you're going to get it quicker if you get on social media. In fact, you're going to get it never. Jonathan asks, what is your normal diet in a day? Do you get enough calories to maintain your body? I am a skinny guy trying to gain weight. Will the carnivore diet help me get enough calories? I'm aiming for 2,800 to 3,000 calories. The food that I eat is the most nutrient-dense, calorie-dense food in the entire world. The most calorically dense food is fat. The average person today thinks that they need to remove fat from their diet. Guess what? When you remove fat from your diet, you remove most of the calories from your diet. And then you ask the question, if I eat the most calorically dense food, will I get enough calories? Here's what's going on. You're cutting out all of the real food from your diet right now. You're cutting out all of the calorically dense food from your diet when you eat low fat. When you eat the diet I eat, you eat the fat. You get a lot of calories because the calories are in the fat. So can you get 3,000 calories eating fat? Eating protein? Of course you can. Much easier than you can get it by eating carbohydrates and lean protein. Here's my normal diet in a day. For breakfast, I'll have steak. For lunch, I'll have steak. For dinner, I'll have steak. And if I feel like eating a snack, I'll have a steak. Matt asks, hey Vic, what is your opinion on water intake? Is the whole drink 8 glasses of water per day a sham? I've been drinking instinctively, and it's far below that, and I feel just as good as when I was forcing it down. Okay, 8 glasses of water per day is absolutely a sham. That is absolutely way too much water. It is beyond insane to drink that amount of water today, because to drink that amount of water, you have to force that amount of water down. And what happens when you drink that amount of water? You flush out all of your electrolytes. You flush out your minerals. You actually make your body worse, not better. So these days, I just drink when I'm thirsty. And I generally drink less than 1 glass of water a day. And I feel infinitely better than when I was forcing water down every day and waking up to piss 5 times every night and feeling like my prostate was inflamed. So the drinking 8 glasses of water per day is beyond insane. Everything they tell us about how to stay healthy, do the opposite, and you're always going to be better off. Mustafa asks, I'm in a situation that I cannot afford eating meat every day. I have to eat carbs to fill my stomach. What do you recommend so I can't gain fat? Work out harder? Run every day? No, if you have to eat carbohydrates to fill your stomach and you don't want to gain fat, here's exactly what you can do. Eat carbohydrates for 1 meal a day, only at night. Don't eat them for breakfast, don't eat them for lunch, eat them for dinner, and eat as much as you want. This is the way that you can mitigate the fat gain that is caused by eating carbohydrates. Either eat protein during the day or eat nothing during the day. But if you want to eat carbs and fill up your stomach and not gain fat, that is the number one way to do it. You can work out as hard as you want. You can run as long as you want. It will make no difference if you're eating too many carbohydrates. So the best way to eat your carbs, if you got to eat carbs to survive, is to eat them only 1 meal a day. Bart asks, Vic, in the previous episode, you shared what carbs you'd eat if you ate carbs during the carnivore diet. You said potatoes and rice and eat them at night. My question, why did you choose 2 carbs and not berries in season, avocados, and spinach? My current understanding is those carbs are much healthier than potatoes and rice. All carbs are glucose, so this baloney about one is healthier than the other, it isn't true. Now, the reason I said it, if I were to eat carbs, I would eat rice and potatoes, is because rice and potatoes can keep you alive. Imagine trying to eat enough spinach to keep you alive. It's a joke. There is nothing in, there are no calories in spinach, so it would be a waste to eat spinach. There's nothing in it for you. Regarding avocados, I don't like them. I don't like the way they taste. Regarding eating berries in season, what berries where? If I were to eat berries in season, then I would only eat them in the summer in certain climates, and then the rest of the year, what would I eat? If you need to eat carbs to survive, you have to eat the calorically dense carbs, which are rice and potatoes. When the Americans were captured in the war in Vietnam and they were sent to the POW camps in Hanoi, at the Hanoi Hilton, they were fed 1 small bowl of rice per day. and they lived through that. Even though when they came out, they were all skin and bones, they could barely move, they had no energy, but it still was able to keep them alive. If they had been fed spinach every day, they would have died. If they were fed berries every day, they would have died. So rice and potatoes, the starches, had the ability to keep you alive, even though it's not going to be, that's all it is, just keeping you alive. But they had the ability to do that. His second question, why did you say you would eat them at night? I would think that would cause weight gain in the belly more so than if you ate them in the morning and therefore had time to burn the calories off. The reason you eat them at night is because when you eat carbohydrates, it releases glucose in the body, and the glucose gives you brain fog. So if you want to be clear all day long and not have a lethargic reaction to carbohydrates, and everybody knows about the post-lunch slump, when after you eat lunch you get tired and you want to take a nap. The reason you eat them at night is because you're going to get tired and brain fog after eating them, and all of your work for the day should be done before that. So then if you get all of your work done during the day, go home, eat your food, you're going to be able to sit down, relax, even go to sleep if you want to. Kristen asks, hi Victor, just curious for your thoughts on Mike Cernovich. I have no idea why you were friends with him because you are two entirely different caliber of men. You are truly independent, comfortable in your skin, alpha, moral to an extent, deep voice, and based. Alright, Kristen, say what you mean, huh? Listen, I'll tell you what, this is not the Victor Pride gossip hour. If you'd like to gossip about somebody, go to brunch with your girlfriends, have some mimosas, and talk about men all you like. Don't come to my show to hear gossip because you won't hear it. Curious asks, I wanted to ask you about Sverige. Reading your articles on the carnivore diet and his videos definitely convinced me to eat more fatty meat and butter. However, if readers here dig deeper into his videos, you can find that he is into some dark practices to the point where he approves of the Illuminati practices of sacrificing babies and cannibalism. That indicates that he approves with the torturing part too. I think he is a psychopath and he shows many signs of it, but that's not the point. You can learn a lot from a psychopath because they get straight to the meat without any emotions involved. I'm not trying to smear him for calling him out for being a psychopath, but because it is what it is. Psychopaths are incredible analysts and state the facts as it is. But fact is not always godly truth. It seems that there are godly truths and demonic truths, and his many beliefs seem like they are based on demonic truths. It seems that the challenge is not to accept one truth over the other, but to accept that opposing truths can occur at the same time. Anyway, it's great that he is sharing about the wonders of the carnivore diet, but the philosophy that drives his practice stems from the dark side. People always think the truth is satanic. Regarding sacrifice and baby killing and cannibalism, I'm not even going to comment on that. Regarding the truth is the truth. Did you think there are demonic truths and godly truths? No comment. Joey asks, are the Anunnaki real? You know, that's a great question. We've got a lot of reports from different civilizations from the past that talk about the Anunnaki. And because we have so many reports of the Anunnaki from so many different civilizations, it leads one to really ponder the question, maybe there's something there. What were they? Were they guys that came down from outer space and taught people how to live? Maybe. Maybe not. Were they the shadow men of the day who convinced people that they were gods rather than men? Maybe. Were they delusions in the minds of the people? Maybe. But it is fun to speculate on these things. Gerald asks, hey Vic, longtime reader here and former B&D BBQ attendee. 2 questions. Do you still believe in drinking distilled water over spring water? No, I believe in drinking spring water or well water because that water has the minerals in it that you're going to need. Distilled water, I was drinking distilled water when I was still eating a low-fat, high-protein, high-carbohydrate diet, aka the diet of death. And when you're eating that diet, you're looking for any little thing in the world to make you feel better because you don't understand that it is the diet that is making you feel so bad. So you look at drinking distilled water instead of spring water. You look at drinking hot water instead of cold water. Any little thing you can think of, you're trying to fix yourself. When the reality is, eat the right food and everything will work itself out. His second question, have you read Bronze Age Mindset by Bronze Age Pervert? I highly recommend it. Just look into it as a short and sweet book. I read it and was disappointed by the audiobook. Call it silly, but I feel like you were meant to narrate this exhortation. Have you ever considered selling or lending your ability to set fire to written words other than your own? No, I have not. I would never ever do such a silly thing. The reason I'm able to set fire to written words is because they come from me. If I were to read somebody else's words, they would fall flat because they are not true. So no, I would never do that. Cameron asks, could you hire someone to transcribe the podcast? I get information faster from reading, though there is something to be said about receiving information through audio like we traditionally pass down information. That's a great point that you brought up. Our stories are passed down through audio rather than reading. All of our stories from the past, everything we know about the past is passed down through generation of people telling stories. So audio, I feel, is probably one of the two best ways. I think audio and writing are the two best ways to receive information, but I do believe you will remember information more if you heard it as opposed to reading it. Regarding transcribing the podcast, I will have this done in the future, and we will release them in an ebook. So if you want to listen, listening is free. If you want to read the podcast, they're going to be released in separate volumes, say the first 15 or 20 or however many episodes. That's what we're going to do to release the transcripts. Bill asks, how big are your biceps? 900 inches. Jack asks, what is your view on this quote by Abraham Lincoln? He says, it has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. Ooh, what a fire quote by Mr. Abraham Lincoln. And, let me tell you what he means there. He means that only the bad guys are the real good guys, and the good guys are nothing. That's why everybody shits on nice guys, because they don't have an edge. They're nothing to nobody. It's the bad guys that everybody looks up to, because it's the bad guys. If you have vice in one area, you can have equal amount of virtue in another area. But if you've got no vice, where is the ability to have virtue? Vice and virtue are two opposites, but opposites always exist on the same spectrum. So if you have none of one, you cannot possibly have another. Vice does not exist without virtue, and vice versa. So the average guy, the average man who lives in the middle with no vice, it's true he's got no virtue. You gotta be a bad guy to ever be a good guy. RH asks, speaking of being a warm person, do you think B&D is making the reader a warm person or a cold person? If the latter is the case, what can we do to balance that? Here's what I think. I think B&D, the blog, the written word, makes you a cool, calm, cold killer of a person. And I think that the podcast makes you more of a warm person. So you've got the balance right there. You've got the yin and the yang. You've got the balance of the cool killer via the written word. And then you've got the more warm, I dare say caring personality via the podcast. And you put those two together, you become a whole person. You put the bad guy and the good guy together. That's your yin and the yang. That's how you balance it. Zhao asks, have you ever experimented with straight up fasting? For example, 5 days with nothing but water. I did a 5-day juice fast a year ago where I had nothing but vegetable juice. So no food whatsoever, only intaking vegetable juice. And there's something I learned there, and that is that vegetable juice is absolutely worthless. It's such a ridiculous, nonsensical thing to do, to juice vegetables and live on that. There's nothing you need from the juice of vegetables because it is nothing but sugar. So if I were to go back and do that, I would go back and drink only water. Now, during that time of fasting and just taking vegetable juice, I lost weight. I fleshed out the body. I lost the belly that carbohydrates give you. And carbohydrates give you a belly through inflammation. That's why you see people with big bellies. That's why you see carb eaters with big bellies. It's from inflammation. It's not really necessarily fat. It's inflammation. So I was able to lose a lot of that inflammation on the juice fast, but I was really angry for 5 days. I couldn't stop thinking about food for 5 days. I was never once in a good mood for 5 days. And that could be because I was drinking the sugar juice. So if I were to do it again, and I don't have a problem doing it, I would do it water only. I would never do the juice fast again. Carl asks, hi Vic, of all raw foods, nothing has helped me quite like raw eggs. Meat is sometimes heavy, but man, cracking 4 eggs, pastured, raised into a glass, blending with some milk and raspberries, and I can work all day without fatigue. I'm thinking eggs are as good as meat when it comes to being nutritional powerhouses. What do you feel, and why don't you include eggs? They're packed with vitamin D, B vitamins, cholesterol, and saturated fat. Just so good for you. Also, benefits are greatly diminished when cooked. I can't eat more than 3 boiled, but I could chug 6 of them raw. I have eggs every now and again. Eggs are a nutritional powerhouse, as you say. An egg contains every single thing necessary to produce life. All the vitamins you need. They are a nutritional powerhouse, but that's it. I don't have any problems with eggs. I just don't eat that many of them. I enjoy eating the meat. So that's that. But eggs are very good. Fish eggs like salmon roe are also very good. Hugely high in the vitamins you need. And in fact, Vince Gironda, the famous bodybuilding coach from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, had a 36 raw egg a day plan he would put on bodybuilders who wanted to get shredded. They would drink six eggs every 3 hours till they had 36 eggs a day. And apparently that worked really, really well. Joe asks, what are your views on this extract from Winston Churchill, who died at 90 years old? Of his drinking, he said, I believe I have taken more out of alcohol than alcohol has taken out of me. Of his eating, he said, all of the food fattists / healthy eaters I have ever known have died young after a long period of senile decay. Of his cigar smoking, he said, I smoke cigar after cigar. That is why I am in 200% form. He did seem to eat a lot of meat, fish, and eggs, which may have contributed to his long life, even with all the vices. Well, all of the vices, I only see 2 vices there. I see cigars and alcohol. His food was perfect. He said of the food fattists, everyone he has ever known died young after a long period of senile decay. Do you know why? Because food fattists say you have to eat vegetables and cut down the meat. That is why they have a long period of senile decay and die young. If you ignore the food fattists and the healthy eaters and eat real food, like the meat, the fish, and the eggs, you will not have a long period of senile decay and you will live a long life. So this is not surprising in the slightest. All health gurus die early after a period of senile decay because all health gurus tell you to eat vegetables rather than meat. Should be plainly obvious to you just by looking at them that they are wrong. And the people who live till they're 95 or 100 are the people who eat bacon and eggs for breakfast, steak for lunch, even if they drink alcohol, even if they smoke. If they have the right nutrients, they live a long life. Jay asks, hi Victor, what deodorant do you recommend? Okay, I've been using a Tom's of Maine deodorant, but I'm going to go to a baking soda deodorant. That's right, I'm going to use only baking soda. The problem with deodorant or antiperspirant in general is that your body wants to release toxins. Your body accumulates toxins from the air, from the water, from the food, and we must sweat them out. And the way we sweat them out is through our armpits. And when we use an antiperspirant, we don't sweat those out. Those toxins stay in our body, and then in time we develop cancer. So I believe it's very important to let the toxins sweat out. So I'm going to go to a simple baking soda solution to put under my arms to ensure that I'm able to release the toxins. I'm not going to use standard deodorants anymore because if you even look at the ingredients in deodorant and then Google them, you'll see that many of them are known to cause cancer. Why? Because they block the release of the toxins. Octavio asks, can eating meat help us heal and regenerate damaged tissues such as ligaments and joints? Yes, it can. Your body is a renewable resource. Your body can regenerate if you give it the right building blocks, aka animal foods like cholesterol and saturated fat. So the body is always self-healing. If you break a bone, it's going to heal. If you cut your fingernail, it's going to grow. Cut your hair, it's going to grow. The body is renewable, but it has to have the right ingredients. And the right ingredients are cholesterol, saturated fat, omega fatty acids, aka the meat. If you give it the right food, it will heal itself because that's the magic of the human body. It heals when it has the right building blocks. His next question, what do you know about reincarnation? Then Joseph asks, what happens when you die? What are your views on the afterlife? Then Drew asks, hey Uncle Vic, what are your thoughts regarding the afterlife? I have recently been reading the Kabbalion and it seems we may have an infinite number of lives. Is this true? What can a man do in this life to ensure a better life in the next? Will our sins and vices carry with us into eternity? Ooh, great questions about the afterlife. I'd love to get real deep into this. What do you say we cover this topic in the next episode of the Bold and Determined podcast? Have a nice day.